Welcome to episode 29 of the Triple Takeover Toycast, a fortnightly podcast dedicated to the Transformers and other great toy lines from the past, which we've actually now done. As ever, I am joined by a man who never leaves home without his power pants on. It's writer, photographer, and noted polystyrene enthusiast, M.A.S. from TFsquareone.
Power pants? What?
I was wondering about your power pants. What's that about?
And if I have them, where are they?
Is this not what happens when you combine with Rodimus? It becomes the power pants.
I thought it might be something like Wallace and Gromit you were making a reference to.
Have you got a tiny penguin? Don't follow you around.
It's a chicken. It's a chicken.
Our other co-host has a Unicron-like determination to hoover up every Transformers toy ever made. He power links as being a writer and photographer with an excellent YouTube channel. It's Sixo.
Thank you very much. You redeemed yourself in the second half there with the excellent YouTube channel. That was nice. Thank you.
And I'm Toybox Soapbox, or as my optician calls me, Liam.
I get the power pants thing now.
Right. Have you remembered what the topic of today's episode is?
I've realised what I'm doing here today, what day it is, and what's going on.
Okay. There we go. Wow.
Maz is waiting for the M.A.S.K talk to start, isn't he?
Yeah.
I'm here for Transformers gimmicks. Wait, what day is it?
That was a year ago. Can you believe it? That was over a year ago. My God. Time flies.
With that, I should probably superlink into the topic of this episode before the inevitable inferno of controversial opinions sees one of us not toe the line. Our subject matter today is very specifically G1 homages from Transformers Energon, a time before G1 designs ravaged every toy line and before we all had the same dad bod as this toy line's Optimus Prime.
You speak for yourselves. You know what I mean? I'm fairly trim around the midsection, thank you very much. I got called middle-aged on this blooming podcast recently, and now I'm being accused of having a dad bod. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I signed up for this kind of abuse.
I like you say that, but we're all around the same age, so if you're middle-aged, we're all middle-aged.
It's true, yeah. Just three middle-aged men with dad bods on a podcast.
Yeah, doing a podcast that started in lockdown, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good shout. Anyway, dad bods aside, we should probably mention our sponsors for the evening. So first we have tfsource.com for all your Transformers and third-party needs. So we'll come back and have a little look at their site in the kind of midsection of this episode. But, you know, loads of third-party stuff, new masterpiece.
Talking about midsections again.
Yeah, I am, yeah. They're very sizable midsection.
Especially middle-age.
Yeah, indeed. Oh my God, I'm going to get away from that anytime soon. Anyway, we'll come back and talk about that a little bit later. And then, of course, this is the part where we usually introduce gearforgeeks.co.uk, although slightly unfortunate news on that score because Morg, who runs the site, has, I'm afraid, decided to close it down. So Gear for Geeks is soon to be no more, but the good news is that they are having a bit of a closing down malarkey, so there's still plenty of stock on there, lots of pre-owned stuff, so you can go and check it out, gearforgeeks.co.uk, and make the most of those. But we'll have news on another sponsor another time, I suppose.
And if you like buying cool stuff, we also have a Redbubble store. You can visit it at redbubble.com/people/triple takeover/explore, where you can buy coasters, tote bags, t-shirts, leggings, socks, and even stationery.
And a shower curtain.
And the shower curtain, which you should absolutely get.
To hide your midsection.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, never going to get into those leggings, am I?
No. We also have a Patreon, which you can find at patreon.com/triple takeover. Where we offer multiple perks at multiple levels. You can just support us for £1 a month as an apologetic rant, or you can be on the other side of the scale as a Sixo's butler, where you can commission minisodes, and we will do those for you, depending on the topic. You can also vote on upcoming episode topics, and you can ask questions that will be answered on the pod.
That's how this episode started, wasn't it? It was originally a minisode.
Yeah, we had G1 homages in Energon requested by both Billy Ho and Yusufa, but what happened was it just ran on so long and we had so much to say about it that it made sense to make it an episode. We thought this is actually something that might be quite cool to offer to a wider audience, and we recorded a different minisode. So also to Yusufa and Billy, feel free to request another minisode topic that we will add to the queue, because this one we've just taken and adapted for a full episode.
Yeah, I think it just really felt, didn't it, like such a great discussion. It's weird introducing a discussion that we've already had, I suppose, in that regard. It's not something we've ever had to do before. But it just felt like a really solid discussion that we all enjoyed, and kind of an unusual format as well, as you'll see. So I think what we really wanted to do was just present the minisode as it was. So we haven't edited it, we haven't like introduced put a new intro on it or anything like that. So you will hear us speaking in a minute, just the original recording as it was. So it should hopefully also give you an idea of what our minisodes sound like, maybe.
I mean, it's not like Triple Takeover to go quite long, is it?
Yeah, that's true.
But this was a fun one, and we've had lots, haven't we? There are other ones. If you do want to sign up and check them out, there are pretty much something for everybody there.
Yeah, Spy Changes was a recent highlight.
Yeah, that was fun.
The Seacons, that was very good.
I enjoyed the scale chart discussion again.
Yes,
I know, just seeing
yeah,
Liam get
Yeah.
so irate about the whole idea of scale and whatever. That was really, really good fun. So we've had some crackers. We've had some brilliant ones.
Some good ones coming up as well, actually.
Yeah, definitely. So, but I think it just, as I say, tonight's, the whole topic just really felt so good that, as you said, it was fun to share it. The idea of to share it with a wider audience, and I think the fact that it's Unicron trilogy as well, and we haven't really done an episode with that as a focus yet. We've talked about it a bit in kind of some of the gimmicks and things like that. But this just felt like a really good opportunity to kind of pay attention to the Unicron trilogy a bit, and hopefully have a bit of fun with it.
Speaking of paying attention, it was 2004, wasn't it, that the discussion was really based around?
Yes.
Yeah. And like one of the things we normally do when we have these period-based Transformers line discussions is we kind of talk about what we were doing in 2004. So what were you doing in 2004?
Playing football.
That's your answer to this question every single time. Doesn't matter we're doing car robots in 2000 or 1986 or Binaltech in 2007. I was playing football.
I'm a consistent individual. I was consistently playing sports and video games for a long time.
I was. What was I doing? Working. Trying to think. I hadn't. Yeah, no, it was a good couple of years before I met my wife. So, and I was still hadn't moved to London yet. Working a lot, getting ahead, living with friends. Just to be honest, a lot of socializing, working, drinking.
Definitely drinking.
It was just great. I don't know. It was a great time. Loved it. Yeah, lots of gigs. So hanging out. That was it, really. I don't know. Transformers wasn't at all a really big thing at the time, to be honest. It was kind of off the radar completely at that point. Just life was too full, I guess.
Yeah, I think in 2004, I would have been 24, and I would have actually just sold most of the collection I had at that point, all Diaclones, vintage G1 and stuff. It was a year of no collecting for me, and it was only towards the end of 2004, I think, or maybe middle of 2004, the summer, where I bought an alternator smokescreen, which kind of got me back into it. And obviously I discussed that quite a lot in the Binaltech episode. But yeah, I was also working and very much doing other things than collecting. That had gone, but it was very much back in 2004. I think it was also the discovery of the Diaclone Black Tracks' origin coming from Finland. Like someone notified me that they'd found one and Finland was the country it come from. And that drew me back into the topic and just the hobby generally.
Yeah, I think one thing that you'll hear from all of us as we get into this discussion in a minute, and kind of when you hear the minisode topic, it's that Energon was definitely not on the radar for any of us at the time, was it? It wasn't like, something that we were really paying attention to. So one thing we all kind of say towards the end is that it's great fun to go back and look at this line and actually what has turned out to be, I think, some of the real, some of the real fun stuff from the time. Just really, really great line, great toys, and some of the things I've discovered since I've loved about Energon. I can't tell you, stuff like Sprung and Landmine, that I've kind of got to since. Just absolutely phenomenal toys, really.
See, I was buying the comic, you remember from Dreamwave, when it switched from Armada to Energon. And so I remember the toy line, but at this point, I was pretty much out most nights getting really drunk, but I was still picking up Transformers and stuff, but it was mostly like the book box reissues and things like that more than anything else.
Anyway, let's get on with the topic at hand and just give this, minisode content a listen as it was originally recorded. And if you do enjoy it and you want to hear more, check us out on Patreon, as we said earlier. So enjoy the minisode.
Transformers, Energon.
Welcome to another Patreon exclusive minisode, and today we're talking Transformers Energon. That's how it sounds, isn't it? I think vaguely. I've not seen the cartoon in a while, but I think the theme song's a bit like that. Anyway, but we're going to talk about Energon today, and specifically about G1 homages in Energon. This is actually a topic that's been requested by two Patreons, isn't it? Two patrons, M.A.S.K?
That's right. So Yusufa requested this, and Billy Ho requested this as his second minisode because he's already had a minisode. So just calm down, Billy. We're going to do
minisodes.
Yeah. So he's requested a second one because we did his first request, and this just basically two people get what they want. So that's great.
Fantastic.
No Patreon just yet. Still waiting for him.
I'll send you the file for the crickets, and you can just insert it when you're editing. At this point,
He hasn't actually listened to that episode.
That's
yet,
a good
though,
point,
So
yep.
he doesn't know what you're talking
no,
about.
I've just spoiled it for him.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Okay. Spoilers.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
okay. We understand that you're okay with spoilers, so no problem.
Fair.
Here we go. Right, so what we're going to talk about today is Energon. And the idea of this is not so much to talk about the toys themselves in any great level of detail beyond just more kind of what they represent in terms of homages to the original line. Because, of course, Energon was sort of 2003 to 2004. And, of course, 2004 was the 20th anniversary of Transformers at the time. I think kind of setting the scene for that, you know, we were just saying actually before we hit record that, yes, Spinal Tech had started by this point, and obviously you had the first like 1 or 2 releases of Masterpiece anyway, or was it just MP1 by that point? It was probably just MP1. I think MP2 was 2005, I guess.
That's right. Yeah, it was ages between MP1 and MP2.
It was Magnus, wasn't it? And yeah. So probably by that point you'd got MP1 and some Vinyl Tech,
Right.
and that was basically it. And you had some reissues, so the reissue thing was kind of in full swing by that point. But really, in terms of mainline, G1 was a concept that had not been revisited by this point, because you'd had G1, you'd had G2, Beast Wars, Beast Machines, RID, and then Armada, and then this. And this was, as I say, 20 years in, this was Hasbro and Takara's first real attempt in the mainline at coming back to G1 in any kind of meaningful way. And I think it's worth just saying that it's not like any of the toys are bang on their G1 selves. You wouldn't really get back to that for a good few more years. I mean, there was some of that in classics and everything, but this is really just kind of a new take on some of those characters. Some of them are just names. Some of them are quite obvious when you look at the toy. Oh, that's clearly this guy, like in a new form or whatever. So it's really a bit of a mix. Some of them are tenuous, some of them are slavish. It really just kind of depends. So what we're going to do today, it's probably worth prefacing it by saying what your exposure to Energon is, right? Like, so Liam, you know some of these toys?
Yeah, I've seen the show. I remember it when it was out. I've had quite a few of the toys, and there's a good thing to note about this is quite a few of these toys for years were stand-ins, weren't they, in classics collections. There's quite a few of these are the ones that lasted until they actually got updates.
Yeah, that's true, actually. I think that's a fair point. So
that's how strong the homages are.
And Maz, it's fair to say less familiar.
Even that is an understatement. I think completely ignorant is the best way of describing it. Although, if I'm not mistaken, one of them is a green muscle car that I do know. So that's how ignorant I am. The looks on your faces tell me that that's completely wrong.
Genuinely trying to imagine what that is now.
Energon Downshift, isn't that like the green muscle car?
No, that's the
wheel. That's the Wheeljack. Yeah, that's
which is called Downshift.
It's called Downshift.
Yes. Okay. That's
what
I've always wanted to handle.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll definitely talk about that one today. So the idea, what we're going to do is we've got a little chat open that obviously those of you listening can't see, but we're going to drop some pictures of the various toys in as we go, and just kind of, I don't know, see what we make of them. So we may as well start in an obvious place, and this is the first one. Just loading it up now. There we go. So you can all see that. You know who that one is, of course.
Is that Chicken Prime?
Is that Chicken Prime?
Yeah.
Why Chicken Prime?
Is that not one of the primes? Chicken Prime.
It's Prime, but why Chicken Prime?
Because he has chicken legs and he's like got really skinny legs. Isn't that what they call him?
Yeah, so this is Optimus Prime. Yeah, he does. Do they call him that? I've never heard that.
Dad Bod Prime. I've heard that quite a few times.
Yeah, Dad Bod Prime, definitely. So
it's not Bendy Prime.
No, Bendy Prime is Armada. So Bendy Prime is the second of the 2 Armada toys, the smaller one. And it's called Bendy Prime just because it has more articulation. It's a whole other thing. This is Dad Bod Prime. So in his smaller configuration, he's definitely got a bit of an old beer belly and kind of a bit of a rotund look to him. And then he's got these kind of Megazord-esque drones that attach onto his arms and legs and kind of make him bigger. So really very cool toy.
It's amazing to think that Optimus Prime is millions of years old, but it's this toy where he finally hits middle age.
Right. 20 years in, yeah.
Well, he's had a bunch of kids, hasn't he? You can see.
A bunch of pizzas.
Hey, man, if you had 4 kids, you'd be looking a bit like that too, I reckon.
Oh, mate, I'd be looking like a tombstone.
Exactly.
Because Liam loves it when we bring up Fans Hobby. They have actually teased their version of this, and it looks amazing.
It really does. It really does. Yeah, they've really kind of captured I think the fun of it is the thing. So the original toys, is great. Honestly, like, it's a ridiculous toy. It's one that actually my son does love. This one we've played with quite a few times, and it's not hard to see why. I mean, you've got the 4 little drones. They can all configure around in different orientations as well. They can all become arms and legs and whatever you want. It's really fun.
Very Power Rangers-y, isn't it?
Yeah, totally is.
It's really of that time. You can tell. Even the way the trailer holds them and they look like they're supposed to shoot out. It's very Power Rangers inspired.
Yeah.
So is the homage here just G1 Optimus Prime?
Yeah, it's literally that.
Okay.
I mean, that we're starting in an obvious place. What's probably worth moving on to is this dude who actually combines with Optimus. Do we know who that is?
Hang on. Appear to be having a old man with tech issue. Oh, that's clearly Wing Saber.
It is Wing Saber, yes. So it's a Star Saber homage, and that's been confirmed by the people that made it. And it's not just, you might think, is it a coincidence that it just looks like that and has the name Saber? But no, it was an intentional thing. This actually...
Wait, is that correct? I
It's
just
correct.
told you the only thing I know that follows the word Energon is Energon Wing Saber. It's just those, an
This is
Energon
Wing Saber.
downshift.
No,
Okay,
this
that
is
just
Wing
rolled
Saber.
off the tongue. I had no idea that's actually what this was.
Yeah.
And now that you mention it, yes, it's obviously a Star Saber homage. That's so clear.
It really is. I remember seeing it, like, when I first became aware of kind of Japanese G1 and everything, and then seeing this and just being like, what's going on with that? Do you know what I mean? It was a really kind of unusual one. This is, I think, probably one of the more bizarre homages in this, because it's very specifically a Japanese G1 reference, whereas everything else is US G1, I think.
You know what? I feel like this is the sort of thing that G1ers of the time simply wouldn't have been aware of, that they wouldn't have had the respect for this line to say, oh, it's actually paying tribute to a Japanese G1 exclusive.
Right.
But then that's how ignorance works, isn't it?
Maybe. It's a surprisingly deep cut, actually, particularly for the time, for 2004. I think that is something to put this out in the main line for kids and everything. This was quite a prominent character in the cartoon. Also combines with Optimus, so it's there's a lot of fuss made of this toy for being a brick because it has virtually no articulation by itself. But it basically comes apart into like 4 parts and becomes new arms and legs for Optimus.
Oh, nice. This actually really reminds me of the similarly proportioned guy who merges with Armada Prime. I can't remember what that fella's called, but it really reminds me of that.
There's Jetfire and
the other guy.
Then there's Overload.
That's it. That's what this reminds me of.
Well, funny you should mention that, because he's actually, sort of coming up next. So he got a repaint in Energon, which is here. And who do you think that is?
Looks like Ultra Magnus.
That's an Ultra Magnus. Yeah. So that is a repaint of Armada, but the Armada mold. But yeah, just brought back here. And yeah, very clearly an Ultra Magnus homage. Actually, I think if I'm right, I seem to remember the Armada name toy. Why are you laughing?
This is the tiny piddly vehicle at the airport that tows the airplane. That's what that little tiny white cab is doing. Or it's like towing Fort Max's leg. That's what's going on there.
That's a fair point. Yeah. It is a bit like an airporty thing, isn't it? This is actually another one that my son really loves, this toy, the original Armada version. But yeah, I think the Micron Legend version actually was called Ultra Magnus. I need to fact check that, but I think so, in Armada.
This toy kills me because it always looked amazing, but there's no articulation at all. And it's like, it's one of those toys where I look at it and go, I just want to pick up and move it. You know what I mean? Like, the vehicle mode is incredible. I just love whatever that is.
It's got airport shuttle thing. It's got G1 articulation in that it moves at the shoulders, doesn't it? But that's it.
Yeah, it's a toy that, because of the way you see it in the show as well, you just want, or you don't even see it, but you know the way it combines.
Oh my God.
And you just want to move it about.
Yeah, for sure.
Knees and elbows. Give him knees.
Hang on. In the vehicle mode picture that you've posted, you've got the cab from the front and the trailer sort of goes off into the distance, but it looks like there are 2 feet pointing up at the end. So actually it just looks like he's transporting half of a dead guy.
That's where Jetfire sits.
That is, yeah. So on the Armada version, that is exactly that. Well, that's where Jetfire sits in his shuttle mode. So he's actually like a shuttle transport type thing. So the cool thing with the Armada version, of course, is that you get this dude who becomes like a pair of big guns, essentially, that sit on the back of Armada Prime, and then Jetfire becomes the trousers. But of course, what you can do is you can connect this dude to the back of Optimus in truck mode and then have Jetfire riding on it. So it's like a shuttle transport. So that is super cool in Armada. Bit more random in Energon because there's no Armada Prime to go with it. So it's just this dude by himself. But still, Ultra Magnus. So next one, to go with all of that then. So of course, Prime can combine with Wing Saber, but he can also combine with this guy.
Yes.
See, now this I bought as a present for my mate's son back when it was released, the Omega Supreme.
Yes.
So I do know this toy.
Massive.
And it was massive, and it still looks mega fun. It turns into some wicked train space thing.
Yes.
Looks great.
It's great fun. Honestly, I love this toy. Really love this toy. I would actually, there is a repaint of it called Omega Sentinel, which goes for often silly money now, and I would love to own that as well. But
there's a G1 repaint as well.
Is there? I've not seen that.
One of the year of the, I don't know, chimpanzee or something. One of those things. There's that one.
I have seen it.
But I had this as well. I picked this up from a car boot for £2 many centuries ago. But
you can still get it sealed for, I'm not joking, sealed for like 30 quid. Honestly,
that's really tempting.
It's a proper WoW toy.
I've got a really nice memory of giving this to my friend's son, and I never really got a chance to mess around with it. I think I also bought him a Primus. I'm not sure. I think I did. But yeah, I'd love to have a go with this.
It's great fun.
Do you know what else you'd love about it? Was it the first time they brought back headmasters as well?
Yes, it's a headmaster.
What?
Yeah. So this is even more cool, right? Get this. The little head transforms into a headmaster, but the headmaster looks like Omega Supreme.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. It's a double homage. So how cool is that, right? So it's an Action Master Elite homage as well.
It's Omegaception.
Almost a double punch.
Oh, dude.
Nice.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a very cool toy. And so it literally splits down the middle. So you take the head comes off, and the robot mode, it basically butterfly it, like just splits right down the middle, and one half becomes the kind of train thing, and the other half becomes whatever the other thing is, kind of moon vehicle or whatever.
That's the only thing. It does look a little bit like vehicle mode is.
Does it not remind you of those? Remember when in the 80s you used to get those other robots that your mates always had, like the weird Diaclone sort of stuff? Do you not remember those?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's cool. They also had like yellow missiles. That's what this has always reminded me of. So many of these ones do.
Do you know, it is actually quite Diaclone in its way as well. There is an element of sort of that kind of non-Transformers Diaclone. There is that kind of design element.
Completely random train.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like stuff that kind of does things, and you know, that you got to use your imagination a bit. I really like it. It's actually surprisingly basic for a toy of its size. Like, it's not complicated at all. But what's especially cool about it is that then Optimus can combine with this dude as well. So where he splits down the middle, you can create like a gap in the middle of the body. You get rid of the head, and then Optimus, the small Optimus mode, literally inserts into the middle of Omega, and it all kind of connects back up together. So you basically get Optimus's head on Omega's body. Super cool.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Especially the way you've described it.
Yeah.
You tear him in half, don't you? It's like really tearing shares.
You do. I could have described it worse, I'm sure.
That's a toy I'd love to actually handle. I love to hear it's cheap. That's good.
Oh, absolutely. Even the Superlink version, honestly, is surprisingly cheap.
Why would one buy the Superlink version? What's different?
So all of these toys have numerous paint application differences, things like that, in Superlink to Energon. So very often they're more cartoon accurate, the Takara releases, if that's such a thing that, you know, really is kind of important for people. Stuff like one of the toys, actually I was just about to say the name, but one of the toys that we'll look at in just a moment is one of the most obvious examples. Downshift that you mentioned, for example. Actually, the Energon downshift version is like almost green in the robot mode. It's very weird. Whereas the Takara version is silver, which you would want, and it's called Wheeljack. So it's like, no, it's a no-brainer in that regard. You know, the Energon version, I think, actually looks kind of, forgive me for saying, but a little bit ugly by comparison. Whereas
I'm blown away by that Omega Supreme thing for the headmaster. I mean, that's multiple layers of homage. Very cool.
It is not that cheap anymore, because I'm already on eBay looking at it going, oh, it's about 150 quid in a box.
What?
That's not that bad. But...
Well, hang on. Look at the old sold listings though, because honestly, I see it go for very cheap a lot of the time. And you will see some expensive ones because it's big. But even mine that I got was like 30 quid, honestly.
Yes, we've had that discussion today already, haven't we? About.
I'm not saying that's the only example. I'm saying it goes for cheap, but especially if you've got a loose one.
This is brutal. So there's loads going for sold 150 quid, 143 quid. This one here, box complete, £5.
There you go.
That's the one that Sixo bought. See, I got it for £5. What are you saying, internet?
That's my point. But honestly, if you're paying 150 quid for it, that's ridiculous. You're overpaying.
Well, you better tell those people, all those multiple people who bought it.
Exactly. I stand by my guns with that one. Right, let's look at another one. So this is kind of an obvious one as well, but we're doing the big hitters first.
Oh, it's Galvatron.
Well, this is actually Megatron, and then there is a Galvatron as well.
Yeah.
So Megatron
who is more closer in color to Megatron? right? I'm thinking of
this
Cybertron, where they're like reversed colors, kind of thing.
Got it. So this is Megatron, who's grey essentially, or kind of white, but still looks like Galvatron. This actually bizarrely looks like toy Galvatron, whereas then the Galvatron repaint is purple, so it looks like cartoon Galvatron. Basically.
Right. Okay.
So it's a really cool toy. But again, the weird thing with this one is it's actually essentially two toys. So that you had the Energon version, which is larger, and then a completely separate mold for Takara.
What?
Two different molds.
Same colors though.
Same colors. So yeah, exactly the same layout. So Megatron is kind of the white color, Galvatron is purple, but completely different mold. And Energon went with a much larger toy, which I don't own. I have both Takara versions. Which is a really nice mold. I'm very tempted to check out the the Energon version at some point as well.
I had the Energon version. It was really nice. It's a really big, chunky, clicky toy.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of commonalities in the way they're designed from what I've seen. But yeah, super cool.
It looked both like Galvatron and Thunderwing at the same time. Like the jet mode, very Thunderwing vibe to it.
It feels like it should be more than just this very simple robot to vehicle mode transformation. Everything about that is screaming triple changer to me, but it obviously doesn't have a third mode.
No, it's got a little tank with it. This is quite cool, actually. So, like, there's I don't know if you can see the sword on his arm. It's connected to. There's a cannon that turns round, and the cannon is actually a tank which comes off and can roll around as like a separate little tank drone.
That's a bit overlordy, isn't it?
Yeah, and actually, well, the tank is apparently a nod to his Armada form, of course, because that was his previous alternate form, and the tank kind of sits on top of the jet mode.
Yeah, I can see it there in the second picture. It's sitting on top of the jet. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. That's it. So it's a cool toy, man. Really, really lovely. But do you know what? It's worth mentioning because I remember seeing the cartoon. I was never really sort of studiously watched it or anything at the time, but I remember seeing it and seeing this design in animation and being like, wow, that looks exactly like Galvatron. And it was the first time I really became aware of like, they're doing a G1 nod essentially. So that was kind of cool.
Transformer Super Ring!
So those are kind of some of your big hitters. Let's do some of the others now. So this one, I'm sure, will also be obvious to you.
I mean, I'm guessing it's
Landfill.
It's meant to be Devastator, right?
Yeah. It's Constructicon Maximus. But yeah,
I don't like the look of that one, I must admit.
It's a weird toy.
What is he standing on? What is that right leg?
Energon. That's what he's standing on. There's weird little Energon construct things. It's a fun toy. All of those are fun.
Is there a face there? Is that a face? Or is it Grumpy Cat is the face?
Oh my god, it does look like Grumpy Cat.
Oh no, you said it.
It really does.
It's like really angry bearded Grumpy Cat.
God, he has a way of ruining this stuff. Just honestly, it's a funny old thing. I actually really like it as well. I have it, the Takara one. It's really cool. But yeah, the Energon feet and hands. This is a commonality with all of these combiners. They have the limbs, the hands and stuff, and the feet are essentially like Energon weapons, like clear plastic, if you will.
I do like how much the left arm, his left arm, just looks like some crazy coloured Mixmaster. No, sorry, Hook.
Yeah, it does a bit.
That's cool. That looks like a fun vehicle.
What you get, actually, which you may find slightly disappointing, I don't know, is that you get, for the limbs, you get two of each mold. So actually, in that picture, his right arm and his left leg are the same mold.
Oh, I see.
And then his right leg and his left arm are the same mold. So you get two hooks, basically.
I really don't think that hook is working as a leg.
Yeah, it
looks like a peg leg.
It's better as an arm, for sure.
Peg leg Grumpy Cat. That's what it is.
There we go. That's Constructicon Maximus. Well, there you go.
The pirate.
Well, on that theme, you might recognise this one.
That's Grumpy Bruticus.
There you go. With those feet again.
Same thing. Two pairs of molds for the limbs.
Exactly. So it's essentially three molds for the combiner set. All of them are the same. The next one's the same as well.
They did say, didn't they? There's a story that they were going to have more unique limbs, but they decided to split them up so they could get an extra combiner.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense, I guess.
That Bruticus just looks like he's got a pig snout.
But this toy, this is like a real third-party legend, isn't it? Because this is where we started getting... Yes. They started doing the blast off and swindle to make it look like a more G1 style Bruticus.
Now that I've seen.
Yeah.
But they're really early toys.
Yeah, that's true.
The next one is a bit of a legend in that regard as well.
Hold on. So is that Onslaught the one that was repainted as Hardhead? The really big, like, tank version Onslaught?
No. That one never combined. That was for Universe.
Right, okay.
So the next one is a bit of a legend in the old third-party world as well.
Superion.
Yeah, Superion Maximus. So these are all... So the last one, actually, the Bruticus, I should say, is Bruticus Maximus. This is Superion Maximus.
Those aren't hands.
Yeah.
And those aren't feet.
Those are Energon weapon hands and feet.
This is Rhythms of Darkness Rodimus Prime strung up between two buildings is what that is.
Yeah. It's an odd looking one. I really like this toy, not stable at all. Falls over all the time.
Of course he's got no feet. Of course
Yeah,
it's not stable.
It's like it's the one where, you do like a big photography lineup or whatever. You've got like 10 toys all in a shot. You've got it all perfectly set out. He's the at the back that falls over and takes everyone else with him. Do you know what I mean? He's just an absolute bugger for it.
I can't even tell what those limbs are. They're amorphous. I can't tell what those legs are. That's...
Still,
I love the torso shape and the head.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And colours there are great.
The torsos on all three of these are the most successful part of them. But genuine Scramble City bots as well. You could intermingle them however you wanted. That's kind of cool.
The fans project kit for this is amazing. It creates like one of the best looking Transformers I've ever owned.
Is that the Snowman edition is one of those?
Yeah, that's one of them. That's one of the white repaint. But that kit, the transformation it does on it is amazing. Just looks cool. It's not as fun to manipulate because it falls to bits, but great looking toy.
And this toy is one that's been repainted a lot as well. And, a lot of people have owned it, future versions and that. I think it was re-released in one of the movie lines as well.
I think it's Revenge of the Fallen, isn't it?
Yeah, it was, I think. Yeah. So
that's the one I had with the more G1 style colours.
Right. It's been redone since, and it's a bit more obvious maybe. So those are those. Right, here's probably another interesting one to talk about. I'm sure you'll recognise who this is meant to be.
Oh, it's Starscream, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. What's cool about this toy is that it's an obvious Starscream, but it actually weirdly transforms exactly the same way as Generation 2 Dreadwing. The little plane that comes with that. Yeah. This transforms exactly the same as that.
Is that an F-22 Raptor?
Yeah.
I believe so, yeah.
Before Starscream from the 2007 movie?
Yep.
How interesting.
Yeah.
There's I think it's a Walmart repaint, isn't there, as well, in G1 colours.
Yes. I was just about to drop that in as well. I'll do so. Here we go. Yeah, because they actually did this in the Energon line as well. So as if that wasn't enough, then you get this guy.
Yeah.
Incidentally, I don't think that looks better.
Yeah, I actually prefer the sort of original Energon colours.
Those are nice colours. And, it just shows that sometimes when your design changes so much, don't put the original colours on it. Just go a bit wild with the design too, and it still maintains the character.
Yeah.
The original one with the clear plastic shoulders, like manipulating those, it's such a tight fit as well. The potential for that one breaking was what terrified me in the end.
Yeah, fair enough. I think it's a really nice toy. I really like it. But it is weird to me how much it references that G2 toy. Honestly, it's I saw it described not so long ago. Someone said that it was the same mold, and I was like, no, it's not. It's really weird. It's like if you hold this toy and you know the G2 mold, then you would instantly know how to transform it and everything. But it is a new mold from the ground up. It's just a bizarre thing. So
that's a heck of a weapon he's got.
Yeah,
very Final Fantasy, isn't it?
Massive, something like Soul Calibur.
Yeah, the Buster Sword.
So those are some of the sort of like really obvious ones, I guess. Let's do another big hitter. You're going to know who this is.
Oh, it's that guy.
It's that guy.
It's Inferno.
Yeah, it's Inferno, right?
We spoke about it, didn't we, on one of the podcasts? One of the adverts.
So we did.
But I love this toy. It's styled off War Within Ironhide, isn't it? That's where some of the influences come from.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's with the chest.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah, it's a fun one. So this is like one of the proper sort of combination toys, like Super Link toys. So this guy, actually I have the Takara version, which came packaged with Hotshot, and he can become the trousers or the top or the bottom, essentially.
I'm looking at that vehicle mode cab, and I'm thinking there's a massive head sticking out.
There is.
There, but it's not on the robot. Hang on, what am I missing here? So it obviously combines with something and becomes the big head.
Well, so a lot of the Autobots can combine, like as I say, as basically the top or bottom of a super mode. So, like in this case, Hotshot becomes the trousers, and Inferno sort of becomes the top, if you like. And there's loads of them, like Roadbuster and others as well, that all can kind of interchange. So, but yeah, it's a cool one. So that's a fairly clear homage. This one actually got a repaint as well. So I suspect you might know what's coming. What does an Inferno repaint typically look like?
Like Grapple.
Yeah.
Roadblock.
Yeah, exactly. It's not actually Grapple, which is a weird one.
See, I think this is a much nicer vehicle mode, but that robot mode isn't doing it for me. That's a bit Chicken Prime.
Chicken Prime again.
That's dad bod. That's like crazy dad bod going on there.
What tickles me about this one is when you look at the windscreen for the front and you imagine the size of a person sitting in there, and then you always look at the little cab on the back and it's dead tiny. It's like it's two differently scaled things in the same toy.
That's so true.
Well, I can't. I think the cab is obviously for a headmaster, and the one at the back is for like a person or a Diaclone pilot.
That is a weird. I'd never really thought about that with this one before. I don't have this one.
I love this, man. There's the crane hiding a missile. That's so funny.
Yeah. That's classic. That's kind of classic of the time, like 2004. That's the sort of stuff they did. But yeah, so this is not grapple. This is actually Inferno Vault. So make of that what you will, but quite clearly meant to be a grapple nod. I mean, it's got the little crane and everything as well. So I think the fact that it's orange and it's a crane.
Yeah.
What's the thinking behind that name?
No idea, to be honest. Absolutely no idea. So
it's because in the show, Inferno dies and is reborn as Roadblock in the West, and I think in Japan. I think that's where it's called Inferno Vault.
Right, okay.
Right.
It's a current name.
Yeah, because he dies. I remember he dies in the cartoon and he comes back looking like Grapple, but called Roadblock. And so I think in Japan, they must have just kept the Inferno name.
Yeah. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of characters dying in Unicron trilogy, isn't there? And then coming back as someone else. But very often they don't even look like the original dude. They're just like completely different character and appearance. And they're like, no, it's the same guy. He died, but he's fine now. It's bizarre.
Looks chunky and fun to transform, though.
It's not bad. It's not my favorite toy, but it's not bad. It's a fun little thing for sure. Let's do this guy. This is a weird one. So there's a lot of essentially what you would now call core class transformers in this line, I suppose, kind of like basic ones. These were all called Energon class at the time.
What is that? Is that Rude Dog?
No, it's a Ravage.
His drones are called the Dweebs.
That is, yeah, okay.
That got me.
Look at his gun, though. Look at the gun he's wielding, the little sight.
Yeah.
It's Megatron.
It's Megatron.
Little? It's totally a Megatron's cannon. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So I guess this is what shining Megatron would have looked like.
Right.
Piss Megs.
So this is what I mean, where some of the references are clear cut. Some of them are like, oof, that's a bit niche, you know. So, and this is a niche one, but that is meant to be a Ravage. But these guys were like drones, weren't they, in the cartoon?
He's totally robbed Nor's tail, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has a bit.
Yeah, these were like the cannon fodder. They were like millions upon millions of them, weren't they?
Yeah.
Some of them had wings.
It was never a concept I kind of loved in the cartoon particularly, but that was the thing.
Is it Battle Ravage? I think it's called Battle Ravage.
Battle Ravage, yeah, Battle Ravage. So there are more of these dudes, these kind of sort of small guys. Here's another one for you. You might get this one. What do you think?
Looks a bit Razor Claw to me.
The toy's called Insecticon, so that's a big clue. So it's a bombshell homage. A loose one.
Tenuous.
Yeah. A bit more tenuous. But again, these are the smaller scale ones.
What's with those massive hands?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
If you look though, you look at like the shoulders, the hands, and like the thighs, and then it's just there's no waist. It's like he's missing a waist. It's like they've pulled it out, like it's in a funhouse mirror.
Yeah, he's got some odd proportions going on. So that one's not on your list to pick up, then, Mas?
No, that's awful. No, those massive chunky paws of his. He's wearing those Hulk mitts that you can get. Nah, I don't like that.
Not a big fan of that one, then. Okay.
Not even a little.
Let me just find, then, because there is a third one. Do I have it?
It's amazing to think, though, at the time, this was the first time seeing Insecticons again in years.
Yeah, exactly. And that is the point, is to kind of make, I suppose, is that, yes, it's a bit odd, but you do have to also think that at this point, when was the last new Insecticon toy that you saw? Do you know what I mean? Like, there was a Beast Wars Insecticon, fine, but that's a different thing. But, like, the last Bombshell toy would have been, in G1. So, I guess Action Master.
Yeah, Action Masters, yeah.
Yeah, so much of this is tantalizing, like, glimpses, isn't it, of what you could have. It's like, oh,
exactly.
It's so close. Like, you almost can't remember what that was like now.
That is exactly it. And you really have to frame this in a world where we don't have the plethora of G1 that we get now. This was like, people were lapping this stuff up because they were just like, oh my God, look, it's like...
Were they really?
Yeah,
I mean, was it appealing to people because of its link to G1?
It was.
Because I associate these toy lines with people who weren't fussed about seeing G1 again. Because a lot of us were just collecting reissues to get our G1 fix or vintage. But to think that they were enjoying this because of a link to G1, it almost is counter to everything I believe that those collectors were into at the time.
No, yeah, because even if you look at Inferno, like, I remember it's not that it was Inferno, it's that it looked like Ironhide. And that's what so many of these are. It's, regardless of the names, it's what they look like. Like, the people were really into it because of that.
Yeah, it's much more Ironhide than Inferno, that one.
Yeah, well, we'll come back to that in a minute then. There's another of these little Energon class dudes. This one's really niche, man. I'm going to tell you this one because you could be here all day. trying to guess this one, but it's Dive Bomb.
That looks great.
Yeah, it's fun. I actually have handled this one. It's a fun toy. Really
Was
nice.
there not a BotCon repaint of this toy in 2006 or 2007? I'm guessing 2006.
I think it's been repainted a couple of times, even within Energon itself, so quite possibly.
It looks really nice. I really like that. That bird mode is great.
Yeah, it's a fun little thing. And these guys all kind of interact with the larger figures, basically. So, right, coming back to what you were just saying about Ironhide. So here's one for you. This...
That's Red Alert, isn't it?
Well, no, this is actually... Towline is the name of the character. But it was sort of commented that it was a very clear Ironhide / Ratchet homage. Some people say Skids as well, apparently. But this actually has been repainted as a BotCon repaint as Ironhide and Ratchet. And when you see it in those colours, it's undeniable.
I can see the skids because of the red, stripe on the side of a blue van.
Yeah.
It has the sled as well, doesn't it? The way it moves apart. It's not in the picture, but that's where the rest of the van is. It's like a...
Is he holding a metal detector?
It does look like that. It totally...
Or it's a vacuum cleaner.
Oh, man, it's like a Dyson, isn't it? It's like one of those little portable...
I love the satellite dish on the roof. It's like a TV van. Like, Channel 6 News from the Turtles.
Exactly what that is. 100%.
It would make a really awesome turtle van as well,
right?
No?
Yes.
That's your latest crossover sorted. There you go.
That's another cool toy. That's a really
I think
cool.
the robot mode, it just looks so painfully basic. I think is one of the observations I have of this.
Yeah, I guess so. Although the funny thing about a lot of these toys is they got critiqued for that kind of stuff at the time. And I would have been probably, part of that as well. But actually, when you look at them now, they're no more basic than a lot of G1. Like the size of them especially. They're not, some of them are smaller than you would think. And, they're some of the transformations actually, I would say, are more complicated than G1. So it's an interesting one.
It's true. It's got a very landfill vibe going on in robot mode in terms of what there is to look at and interact with. And it's hypocritical of me to say that I have a lot of affection for landfill, but this does very little for me aesthetically in robot mode.
Fair enough.
Have you ever seen the sled though? It comes with M.A.S.K.
No.
Like the Ironhide Ratchet sled, it comes with the battle sled, and it's got the little track thing on the front. The little caterpillar track thing.
Okay.
So
for more speedy metal detecting or
that's where he puts all his finds, and
vacuum cleaning.
It's his little table.
I don't think you're going to convince Maz on this one.
Where would he put all his Roman coins? That's where they all go. The Tony Robinson of Transformers.
Let's write a whole new backstory now. Try this one on for size. You'll get this one immediately.
That's a bit shockwavy, obviously.
Yeah, this is Shock Blast. Because they didn't have the trademark at the time, of course.
Sure. Evidently have alternators as well a little bit later.
Yeah, exactly. So it's Laser Wave in Takara, of course. But yeah, this is a nice toy. It's not my favourite, actually. Like, a lot of people love this toy, but it's a bit awkward because the arm is just so long. Like, the one arm, it's ridiculous.
He's taking it too far.
Yeah.
It's Shockwave wearing like a spacewalk suit. He definitely looks like he's wearing something over his chest and his big old boots, moon boots. It's nice though. It's nice proportions.
Yeah, it's a fun toy. The little satellite mode thingy is really cool. That's kind of a nice touch. I do like that one. So yeah, fun toy overall. I don't have it anymore currently, but
does it roll well in vehicle mode?
From memory, yes.
But obviously not working treads or anything like that. It's just like no wheels underneath.
Exactly. Now try this one on for size. You will have seen this one, I think, in some of my pictures.
Oh, I do like this one. This is Scorponok, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
That's actually very nice looking, and I do like that toy.
No, I cheated a bit with this one because I actually posted a picture of the Takara version because I think it's so much nicer.
That's gorgeous. Lovely colours on it, and head sculpt looks fantastic.
This is a lovely toy, really nice toy. Super. What I also think is really clever is the Scorpion mode isn't actually a Scorpion; it's like a construction crane.
Oh yeah,
but with digger hands. But you look at it and you're like, it's Scorponok. It works. It's a very, very clever design, in my opinion. It's got some lovely details all over the robot mode. The paint is gorgeous. I just love it. But the Hasbro version the color scheme's a bit more weird. It's got like some burnt red in there and stuff like that. But this is probably one of the more different color schemes between the two. And the Takara version is way more cartoon accurate.
It's a really nice looking toy.
Yeah, for sure. It's even got a little visor that pops down, just like G1 Scorponok.
That's cute.
Yeah, it's a full on proper homage, that one. So I think here's one for you. You'll know this one, of course.
Okay, so this is Downshift, right?
This is Downshift, yeah.
So that is absolutely not the car I had in mind. So that was a completely different toy I'm thinking of. I must be thinking of Cybertron Downshift or something.
Maybe.
I think you are. I know the toy you're thinking of. I think it must be Cybertron.
So this is Wheeljack, essentially, but called Downshift, called Wheeljack in Japan. And you can see what I mean by the sort of olive green that it's got on the robot mode.
Of course, yeah.
Whereas all of that is silver on the Takara toy. So, I mean, I don't own this. There was actually, I think this popped up on eBay, the Energon version, not so long ago. And I did and ahh on it, which was like no money. But in the end, I was like, no, I want the Takara one for sure, with the silver.
It's so obviously Wheeljack. There's just zero doubt at all. It's very obvious. I have seen this toy before, yeah.
That's one of the more obvious Energon homages, for sure. As is this one, I think. You'll agree. Here we go. This is kind of a famous toy.
Yeah. Is it called Exilian?
Just Rodimus.
Okay. Is there an Exilian repaint? Where have I got that name from?
I think you're thinking of, is it Cybertron Hotshot? And
yes, it is.
A hot rod coloured one, didn't they? I think it's called like Epsilon or Exelon or something like that.
It is, yeah. It does have a weird name. You're absolutely right.
This looks great. Would love to play with this toy. It looks terrific.
Isn't it nice to see Rodimus in a different form? Other than pointy sports car, as much as that is cool.
Yeah, it's like that massive, chunky fire truck that they never made in G1. It basically looks like that, I guess.
It's a weirdly proportioned robot mode, but I love it, honestly. And one of the more unique transformations I've ever seen. No word of a lie, you could not predict how this thing transforms, honestly.
Sounds perfect.
The way where the head ends up and stuff like that is just bizarre. So this is actually our friend Rich. This is like, I think I'm right in saying that this is his Rodimus that he still has. This is the one, this is like a toy that he'll go to bat for.
The Transformers will return after these messages.
Right, well, it's that part of the episode where we talk about the sponsors. And in this case, it's tfsource.com for all your Transformers and third-party needs. So we're going to have a little look at their website today and see what they've got in stock or available for pre-order. And there's some pretty handsome stuff up there right now, isn't there? What's caught your eye on tfsource.com, lads?
DA92 Armor Wrap Combination Powered Convoy Diaclone Reboots car, Tommy.
Somehow I knew you were going to point that one out. It's a thing, isn't it? Look at that.
That's beastly.
That is immense. That robot mode just looks so amazing.
That's fantastic. Honestly, it just looks brilliant. Powered Convoy in the new line. It's just nuts.
It really is.
Of course they were going to get around to it.
Yeah, I love that they've not kind of restricted themselves to the kind of old style design really at all. They did the same with their Convoy, didn't they? That it was just, I don't know, it's got hallmarks that feel familiar about it, but they've not at all felt the pressure to kind of make it feel familiar or like Transformers in any way. They've just kind of completely gone off in their own direction, and I really respect that.
Really taking it forward.
Yeah, this ain't no car carrier. I mean, it's a battle platform on legs.
Yeah, it's just immense. I think it's all about that robot mode for me. Just looks just incredible, honestly. So,
and you know how much
so
play
much
value.
Play with.
Yeah, that's it. It's exactly that. You can see how much play value there is there, and it would just keep you busy for ages. I do not envy Sixo having to do photographs of this thing. And,
I'm still going to do pictures of the
actual
actual
convoy.
the actual battle convoy, mate. Honestly, so I'm a bit behind on that one, but yeah, it's actually just over there. I've got it on my list to do, but I've got a few reviews and things lined up at the moment. But that's definitely one of them. So,
can you see its shoulders? It's got these panels that almost like wings behind its shoulders that are grey and black with the red stripes. It's like it's got a couple of reflectors just sitting on his shoulder, doesn't it?
There's a little bit like that. I thought they were just kind of like wings almost. Yeah. Just looks super cool.
That's beautiful. So yeah, that caught my eye. Caught both eyes.
Yeah, I bet. Well, my one, actually, the one that really kind of caught me, two things actually. First, I'll just mention briefly that I thought was interesting was that I noticed that TFC Toys, Lio Kaiser, has come back up as a prospect, and they're doing like a fixed version. Hades, they're Hades. So they've called it renewal version, but supposedly it's like, because it was, I've never owned it, but infamously problematic toy in a number of regards, and that's now back in stock. So interesting to see how that pans out. But the one that actually really, I suppose, caught my eye more than anything that's just come in for pre-order on TF Source was the Robocen Optimus Prime.
Right.
The self-transforming, talking, dancing, all things auto-converting Optimus Prime. You guys must have seen videos of this thing, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We had a laugh about it, didn't we? In one of our episodes recently about how it was just going to deliver itself to our door and proceed to cook us dinner and all the rest of it.
The true Amazon Prime.
Yes.
Right, indeed. I don't know. It's not something I can imagine owning just because, I mean, it's $1,000, but it's kind of like a bit of a prospect in that regard. But I don't know. It does look kind of cool. Mm-hmm. I'm intrigued by it, I suppose. And love seeing all the videos and stuff of it. But yeah, it was just one that I saw and I was like, they've got that up.
It's always fun to see new things, isn't it? Stuff like that where you've never seen like an auto-transforming toy.
Yeah, well, other than the jump starters.
Battle charges, mate.
Exactly the same. Exactly the same thing.
The better ones, at a fraction of the price.
Exactly. Same, same kind of thing, really, just at the heart of it. Same principle.
Masterpiece engineering.
Yeah, indeed. So, what's caught your eye, Liam?
For me, it's the Legacy Deluxe Silver Streak.
Oh,
The blue streak.
right.
Whatever deco that is on is a toy I always buy.
The blue silver streak.
Yeah.
Absolutely classic situation. I know I mentioned this a lot on like social media, or I've written an article about it, but it still makes me laugh that there's a blue silver streak and a grey blue streak. I just think it's hilarious.
We should have a conversation about that at some point.
We should do, shouldn't we? Almost like a little mini-sode topic that in itself.
We could probably do it in 20 minutes.
That'd be a whole evening's worth, that would, mate. But that's a good shout. It does look nice.
I really like what they've done. That mold's quite nice anyway, and just in those colours, it makes every toy look better. Like the masterpiece in that colour, that was a great toy anyway, but in those colours, it just always looks a bit better.
Yeah. I do know what you mean. There is something about it, blue streaks. They just always look amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm sort of not getting loads of generation stuff, but that one did catch my eye. I'm not gonna lie.
I can never call it Silver Streak either. It pained me to say it. Blue Streak, isn't it? That's what it is.
It is blue streak. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, lots of good stuff up on tfsource.com. So do check them out for all your Transformers and third-party needs. They've got absolutely tons of great stuff in stock right now, and more coming up for pre-order. So check them out, tfsource.com. Thanks for sponsoring the pod.
And also, we should really say thanks again to Gear for Geeks for sponsoring us, and do be sure to check out their page. They're on clearance right now, so, help a brother out.
We now return to the Transformers.
So continuing with the with the sort of movie homages, if you like, there's this guy who I actually recently acquired.
Springer.
Yeah, basically. The Energon version is called Bulkhead, which is a bit of a weird one, but the Japanese version is called Sprung, and it's very clearly a homage to Springer in many ways. Super nice toy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. It's a great toy.
It's unbelievably good toy.
This is another one of those where if they said, we're going to make a new one, I'd say, don't do that. Just reissue the old one, because it doesn't really need anything, and it wouldn't have that wicked, mad backpack accessory thing, which is just crazy but fun.
It's a bit Action Master, isn't it?
It is a little bit. So basically, the bottom of the helicopter. So you can see there's two pictures of the helicopter. The top one is the heli itself, and then the bottom one has this like whole other bit on the bottom of it with like guns and stuff like that. That comes off and then becomes like a battle platform, but then also becomes a backpack for the robot mode with like these sort of big octopus arms type thing. Like sort of extra set of arms, and the main robot looks like Springer, and his helicopter blades become like a little sword thing. It's super cool. I am in love with this toy. Honestly, I was excited for it, but I am absolutely overwhelmed by how nice it is.
I'm so glad you are, and it caught me by surprise when you had the photo of it. You put it up that you just got it. I was like, wow, that's a toy I haven't seen for ages.
I've looked at it, I'm not going to lie, for the last year, 2 years. Like, I've looked at so many listings for it. It's always been super cheap. I've always been like, one day, do you know what I mean? And just kind of ignored it. And then finally just went for it. I think it's like 20 quid sealed or something. And I'm just absolutely blown away by how good it is. Massive as well.
Do you know what's crazy about this, though, about that price is, in the sort of mid-2000s, before Generation Springer, the price on it went up really quickly, like on the secondary market.
Sure.
Because there was no Springer at the time. It was only once we started getting Generations versions of Springer that his price then like plummeted back down again.
And I guess that's where the interest for a lot of this stuff comes from, isn't it? Is that in the absence of anything else, like with no other Springer toys, this is it, really, isn't it? At the time, this was your Springer option.
These were the bones we were being thrown.
Absolutely. And Maz, you've seen Landmine, which of course we're not talking about tonight because it's not really it's like a homage to Mad Max Fury Road, if anything. But it's that and this guy, I would say a brilliant double act. Like, they're in the same sort of size class and all of that, but they're both as good as each other, in my opinion. Just a really good pair of toys.
One to handle, I think, for me there.
Yeah, maybe. Right, this one you're going to get straight away. There's no way that you're not going to get this.
Grimlock, wow.
It's Grimlock. I mean, that's clear as mud, right? This was actually a 2-pack with this guy.
Yeah, this rings a bell.
Swoop.
Yeah. I do remember this pack being released, actually.
Yeah, and they actually combine into like another robot mode, the two of them. So one becomes the top and one becomes the bottom. So yeah, that's kind of fun. But that's a very, very clear, obvious one, I think. That Grimlock is about as on the nose as these homages get.
This is the one they put in the is it The Last Night or one of the
Yes.
last movies? And they packaged it as 1984 Grimlock. This was
They
the toy.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that because they put it with was it Age of Extinction or whatever? They put it with
That's the one. Yeah.
they put it with Age of Extinction Grimlock and then this as the G1 Grimlock, didn't they? And everybody was laughing because they're like, it's not actually technically G1 Grimlock, it's Energon Grimlock.
Because they specifically write 1984 as well, don't they?
Yeah, they did. They did. Yeah. That it was, but to be fair, it does look basically exactly like 1984 Grimlock, but just kind of new, doesn't it? So it's a bit of a weird one. Okay, we're going to get into slightly weird territory now. This is the one that Liam paid reference to earlier.
Yeah.
You'll never get this one, I don't think, Maz. What this is meant to be.
It looks like Skybite.
Well, it does. Funny you should say that. So it's called Sharktacon.
Sharktacon. Yeah.
It's called Sharktacon. And it does look a lot like Skybite. But, Liam, do you want to tell the story about the alt mode?
So the spaceship there, it's designed based around the Nemesis, you know, the Decepticon ship from the cartoon. But I've never bought into this. I know that's what they use for reference, but when I look at it, I don't see it at all. Never been able to see it, other than it's a pointy spaceship. But yeah, that's
a spaceship?
Yeah.
Come off it, that's a fish. It's called Sharktacon. How is that not just a shark?
I'm kind of with you. I'll be honest, I've never really seen it as well. And I think it was even Aaron Archer apparently, said that was the reference, was the Nemesis.
That's what he calls it, doesn't he? Because he can't remember the actual name. I remember.
Yeah. I don't quite see it. I'm not sure I would see it if I'd not read that, but there you go. That's apparently the reference.
It's got fins in all the place a fish would.
Yeah. It really does look like you could think it was a Skybite toy.
Yeah.
Maybe the Nemesis turns into a shark. Maybe that's its future. Beast Wars. There we go.
With a little medieval helmet on the top. He's obviously eaten bombshell.
'Tis but a scratch.
I would actually really go. I'd actually really go now for like a Skylynx style toy, which was like a massive spaceship, like the Nemesis or whatever, that turned into a giant shark. Wouldn't that be kind of cool?
That would,
I suppose big sharks are great.
Yeah, and spaceships are cool.
Oh man, Echo the Dolphin as a spaceship.
He's wearing the entire thing on his back as a robot.
Yeah, basically.
He looks like a flip changer. He's wearing so much of it on the back.
You know what his name should have been?
What?
Space Cape.
Space Cape.
Like Space Case, but with a cape.
That's a good one, then. I don't know this toy at all. I'm like, I only know photos of it, so I can't really comment too much.
Again, it's a really fun one. They botconned it, didn't they, into
I think they did, yeah.
something else, but it's a cool one.
I think it has been re-released as a Skybite, hasn't it? I could be wrong.
He does look like he's got a cape.
Is there not one of these where it's called the Axelon or something?
What, another ship?
No, I thought it was this one where they called it Axelon. Or was that a different toy?
Pass. Not sure on that one, to be honest.
So he's got a cape, and he's also got a fetching pair of green shoes, which just look like he's wearing a pair of pants with them.
What's wrong with that?
That's nice. Look, whatever it is, it's not a spaceship.
Yeah, fair enough. It's a shark, man. It's definitely a shark.
Jumped it.
Right, check this one out. See if this was actually one. This is one of the smaller ones, one of the Energon class that I forgot to post earlier.
Is this RC?
That's RC. Yeah, it's fairly clear cut, isn't it? So interesting that it's a bike RC. I'm kind of wondering actually if that's the first. I'd need to check, but maybe that's the first motorbike RC toy.
Is it not the first RC toy?
No, I mean Binaltech was. No, you're right. Binaltech would have been 2008
Binaltech was after
or something. Yeah. Wow.
Maybe it is the first RC toy.
Surely not.
But we didn't get an RC toy for years, did we? It was a very long time, and I think it's this one.
What year did this come out? Is this 2004 then?
This is 2004. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Then...
2004.
I don't think there was anything on Armada.
This
you might be right then.
Possibly. Yeah. I'm trying to look on the wiki to sort of look it up and see. But of course, it's in a different continuity or what have you. So it's. I'm just having to look over at G1 and sort of see. Toys and merchandise. Here we go. So the first actual RC toy. No. Okay. So there's a BotCon.
The Spider.
Forgot about it. The BotCon. Beast Wars toy.
Yeah.
It was 2001. And then the Binaltech was 2008. So
this is the first mainline release one.
Yeah. I think it's fair to say this is the first mainline toy of RC. Yeah. So and quite probably the first bike interpretation of her, which is kind of cool. And it does. I mean, it's got a bit of pink in there. Head sculpt looks a bit like the character, I guess.
It's almost more Elita 1 than it is RC in the head sculpt.
Yeah, I would say that's fair approximation.
I just see blur. I don't know why.
Is that a good thing, Liam?
It's better than the other one, but
fair enough.
Oh my god, Energon RC is a better blur than G1 blur.
Just the face.
Levels of.
I just jumped that space shark.
Yeah, exactly. Right, well, here's one for you. I've got two more. Let's see if Maz gets this one. He won't.
Is that supposed to be a quintesson?
Way, you got
Yeah.
it.
I mean, it's
Yes.
almost obvious. It's all got the little
They got the little heads.
tentacly arms and the the multiple heads. There you go. It's quintesson judge.
I was fully convinced that you were going to look at this and be like, "What the f is that?" Honestly,
No,
like,
I am very much thinking that he's holding a
Okay.
chainsaw in one tentacle, isn't he?
So this is Alpha Quintesson, as he's
Yeah.
called, which was a very heavily featured thing in the cartoon. I remember. I don't really get what this one's about, man. I got to be honest. It's not my bag. This was a proper non-transformable toy. That's what I can tell you about it, with the 3 heads.
Tremendous.
Yeah, exactly. It's not something I would ever go in on.
Got a random rocket launcher on its back and standing on a bed of spinach leaves. No, hard pass.
Yeah, I figured you might say that. Yeah, it's not one for me either, to be completely honest. But
Love the different faces though. That's cool.
Yeah, it's something. And again, it's I'm guessing actually maybe the first Quintesson toy.
Yeah.
Quite possibly.
I mean, probably there was never one in G1. Never really has been one or many since. Has there? Only like not.
What's next with DevCon?
No.
It's only like Earthrise, wasn't it, where we finally got a Quintesson toy, like a real official one.
Yeah, it's only been a recent thing. So, all right. So the last one. I mean, look, you're going to get it immediately, of course.
Yeah, that's Cosmos.
Is that a Rock Lord?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Rock Lord. It's Unicron, of course it is. Yeah, this is kind of a cheat because it had actually come out in Armada first, but this is the Energon repaint, the black one.
It's quite nice.
I love it.
Great colours.
I love it. I love the color scheme. Do you know what? If they did the War for Cybertron HasLab Unicron in this color scheme, that would be a tough one to pass on, man.
Would it really be tough to pass on that near £1,000 toy that's just nearly different colours?
I'm not saying
this is Sixo. I mean,
I'm not saying it wouldn't be a thought process or a consideration, but man, it would be lovely to see.
That's nice. I think, that's quite a highlight, actually. That's lovely. I do really like that.
It's a beautiful toy. I had it and recently sold it, but it's one that I totally plan on getting again at some point.
The Unicron I have is I think it's like the Amazon reissue of the Armada one with the G1 style head. That's which is this mold.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Absolutely love that toy.
Very manageable size.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you're someone that is like going to balk at the whole kind of WFC toy or whatever, this is actually like a really nice size toy, isn't it? It's not as big as you would think, but it's also impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I have him stood next to MP01, and they're not that far apart in height-wise.
Yeah, for sure. So,
MP1, sorry.
He's learning.
Oh man, I forgot to say, someone messaged me earlier that listens to the pod, and they were saying how much they enjoyed the episodes. They wanted some advice on MP9. They were looking to buy an MP9, and they were, chatting away about this fault and that, and they had a seller lined up, and what questions should I ask? So I was just kind of chatting with them about it, and he said to me, I've got to be honest though, I'm more in the Liam camp. To me, it's MP09. I didn't have the heart to say no.
Imagine willingly putting yourself in the wrong camp.
Right.
I choose to say it incorrectly.
Say it better.
That's what I was going to say.
Despite what it says on the box with English letters and numbers that I can read.
It's like those people that like refuse medical science and things like that, isn't it? It's just like there's not two opinions here. There's like a right one and a wrong one.
Some of us just choose to do it better. Walk a different lane,
Just in case you get confused with another number, you put an O in there just so that you're absolutely sure it's the one before 10 and after 8.
Look, how many devices need to have 2 digits? They can't just have single digits. They've got to have a 0 before. They can't all be wrong.
Pleb.
Anyway, I thought you'd like to know, Liam, that there's at least one person out there that thinks the same as you do.
I'm sure they're a cool person.
Yeah, I'll pass that on.
Well.
Anyway, that completes our Energon homages.
Yeah, I got about these toys, just before you go. There are a few that I would definitely consider buying here. And
which one?
That Unicron is one of them. My absolute favourite of all of these is that Scorponok. Without a doubt. That looks kick-ass. And the other one I think I would quite love to have is scroll. Omega Supreme. That looks terrific.
I'd be made up, man. I'd be made up if you got an Energon Omega Supreme.
Even the not grapple.
Oh yeah?
I just keep going back to that picture and thinking, I would really love to play with that vehicle mode. It's just got the whole roll factor And it's amazing how much more that appeals than the Inferno. Just so much more. Even the dad bod robot mode looks great. Yeah, that would be the fourth I would get out of this lot.
I think there's a real G1 sort of chunky appeal to a lot of these toys as well, and that's why I've come to enjoy them. I must admit, I didn't really at the time. Like, they weren't for me back in 2004.
Exactly, yeah. Things change. We change.
Yeah.
That Rodimus too. That would be a must play with as well.
Old classics in the universe, we talk about them reinterpreting G1 characters in different forms. They're really doing it here in like a different way.
This is more of it, in fact. Yeah, this is a more... I wouldn't say honest reimagining. Because, actually, maybe that's correct. Maybe that's exactly what it is.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's not afraid to be its own thing at the same time as being a homage of something. So, which I think is really interesting. Some of them, like the downshift, the wheeljack, is really on the nose. Mm-hmm. The Grimlock especially.
But the Grimlock is one of the least favorite ones I saw. There, I wouldn't go near it. It's just too on the nose.
Yeah, I agree. That's actually the one that appeals to me least of all of them. I must admit, when I first saw a picture of it, I was like, it's just, there are better toys that look like G1 Grimlock out there, aren't there? That's the thing. But...
It's also not a very good toy. At the same time, I don't know if you handled either of them. They're like real like low lights of that toy line. Or low points, should I say.
It doesn't feel like it's part of the same line in a funny way.
Can you imagine them like designing these toys and these coming out and being in the stores? Would people ever have imagined that in nearly 2 decades, people will really appreciate what was going on here? So I never would have thought that at the time.
I don't think so. I don't think I thought that at the time. I think I remember looking at a lot of this and just being like, it's interesting that they're doing, a Rodimus and a Megatron that kind of looks like Galvatron and whatever, but never would I imagine circling back to it and like really appreciating it. And I don't think the line is overflowing with winners. Like, I think there are some dregs in there as well, but I think there's a lot of great stuff in there, like, honestly, and there's more good than bad for sure. And stuff like Sprung, the Springer, for me, that is top tier Transformers. Honestly, I was like blown away by how good this thing is.
It's really interesting seeing him and remembering what a different point on the road it was, like looking forward and looking at those toys and going, just imagine if they did this with the G1 toys, gave us those with articulation. But now, having had that, looking back in the opposite direction, going, oh man, just imagine if they were reinterpreting those characters in completely new looks again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's with the plethora of G1 stuff now, like Wolver Cybertron, everything, Masterpiece, you can almost look back at these and appreciate them for what they were at the time, which you couldn't quite do at the time in a funny way.
Isn't there an Energon Slugslinger as well that's a double canopy jet?
Yeah, there are one or two others. I did actually curtail the list slightly, sort of trying to keep it fairly manageable. Some of them are a little bit less obvious, but yes, Slugslinger is one that you could argue. I think some of them fall into the category of like, is it a homage or not? I've got a picture of Slugslinger actually. Here you go. So yes, you could. Maybe I should have included this one.
Oh, I know that Slugslinger inside out. It turns up on my eBay searches so often in my alerts. So yeah, I know the one.
You've got it. Okay, yeah. So that's a definite one. I would say that is a homage. Perhaps I should have included it. But yeah, I mean, there are others that I've seen when I was reading about it. People saying, "Oh, maybe this is a homage as well," and it's like other people are like, "No, that's just tenuous." So where does it stop? I don't know.
Round about here, like the episode.
Yeah, indeed. Anyway, that's going to do it for our Energon homages. So thank you very much for the couple of you that suggested this topic. We've really enjoyed it, I think. And maybe we've tempted M.A.S. into getting a bit of Unicron trilogy action.
I've wanted that landmine since I saw it at the pub. So it's going to happen. I mean, I'm already buying third-party Unicron trilogy. And of course, having those toys now, wouldn't it be great to have a few more Minicons? I used to have some... I think it was Energon. It could have been Cybertron. Things like the Recon team and the Platinum exclusives that came out from Takara, like the little Le Mans car, and there was the helicopter, and there was the 4x4 came in a 3-pack. I think it was a Minicon team. I used to have those. I bought them on release.
Cool, man.
But that was it.
I can't wait to see you go back to it. You're going to break the internet with it. Anyway, thank you very much for suggesting the topic. And we'll catch you next time.
So that's the minisode that was never actually a minisode. If you enjoyed that, we've got loads more of those, so you can head over to our Patreon and check out all the minisodes that we've done. And as we said, if you sign up, you can request your own.
And speaking of minisodes, which are commissioned by our Sixo's Butlers, the top tier of our Patreon, which is patreon.com/triple takeover, I'm going to do a rundown of thanks, which is another bonus that you get for being a Sixo's Butler. And we have new butlers this time again. I'm going to start at the bottom of the list and go up this time. So big thank you to Aaron Svoboda, Jim Owen, Nexus, Michael Loyakono, M.K. Tronic, Yip, Jackson Arwood, Jesse Moreno, Chris Norris, Shenry, Peter Hammerson, Vegemite Mike, Mike S, Puma the Hunter, Laserbeak, Amar, Stuart Webb, Sam Hyland, Alicia, aka Aliciatron, Jacques Pelletier, Jonathan False Logic Howard, Phil G, Captain RA, Alec Meir, Anthony Cars, Troysiv, Cliff Zaras, John Pearl, Yusufa, Gio Kaiser, Absurd, Dave Dalrymple, Justin Nasaru, Pat Saturday, Stephen Perkins, Matt, Zachary Blader, Adam Shoemaker, Spiderfather, Billy Ho, Chris, Brian Fox, Preston, Andy, C137, Danny Roberts, Dean Watts, and Nick. Thank you so much, guys. What a list, even backwards. And we also have a question, which is, that's for one of our other tiers as well. You can ask a question on the episode. So I'm going to switch over now. And I haven't told the lads what the question is in advance. So I just think it'd be better to get a more spontaneous response.
This sounds ominous.
Yeah.
Yeah, power's all mine. Right, so I'm going to go with a question from Stuart Webb, which is, for each of you, what is an aspect of Transformers, could be anything, toy line, cartoon, comics, etc., that you're not very familiar with but want to dive into?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think it's perfect for this episode as well, because it is something that, at least myself, I had no idea about the topic that we were discussing. The whole point of the episode was almost like a reaction to stuff I'd never seen. So this is another element of what do you not know about in the hobby that you'd like to spend some time finding out? I mean, before this, my answer would have been car robots, but very much done that now. So,
Tick.
Yep.
I know what mine is.
Go for it.
Totally honest, IDW, specifically more than meets the eye. It's
absolutely
just
right.
The one area more than anything that I don't know much about. I have read a number of the IDW comics, but never got into more than meets the eye in any big way. And I think that's just because I missed out on it at the time when it was new and happening. And then it's that thing of, it's a little bit like people that get behind with Marvel films and things like that. You know what I mean? Unless you'll kind of keep up with the momentum of it at the time, it seems like a daunting prospect to kind of get on board and get up to speed. And then, of course, the whole thing ended. And yeah, so I just basically sort of fell out the momentum of it. So desperately do want to get to that at some point. I think it's just been an incredibly difficult time to find the space to read comics with, childcare and things like that going on. But absolutely on the list.
I started reading it, I think it was quite a way into the run. It was issue 19 that I joined in because of people just telling me how good it was. And I read issues 1 to 19 in one go, just over a handful of days. And it was an amazing experience to do it that way. I think I enjoyed it far more than I would have done reading individual issues just month to month. So I think that's going to be a wicked experience. And the analogy with the Marvel movies is funny because I'd fallen so far behind with those that I ended up watching, 23 movies in 3 days?
Yeah.
Wasn't it 3 days or something?
Was it in the run up to Endgame that you were
exactly?
Doing that?
So I could go and see Endgame in the cinema while it was still there. It was ridiculous how much time I spent watching those movies.
I remember
in one go.
I did read the IDW comics as they came out like that, and I remember the pain of having to wait between each issue of like Lost Light. So I'm very envious you got to condense it.
Yeah, by that point I was waiting as well. Yeah, so I think for me it's comic related too. It'll be the Marvel UK run, so I think it's a long overdue thing to get into, and I'd love to watch Victory properly with the subs.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should make a little deal as such, a little arrangement that if I sit down and read More Than Meets the Eye, then you sit and read the Marvel UK.
Yeah,
I'm up see where we get to.
Yeah,
it'd be fun. It'd be a few episode topics in that kind of content.
For sure, we can't not do a More Than Meets the Eye episode. So the sooner we can get to that, the better.
All right, well, I better get reading then, hadn't I?
Liam, what about you?
I'm gonna pick the Master Force Warriors.
You're gonna dive into those, are you?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of them?
Yeah, just make sure you're packing some Power Glide when you do your diving. You don't want to get any sore cheeks.
No, I would like to learn more about Diaclone, to be honest, because I know bits about it, but it's not something that I know a great deal about. So and there's so much interest in. There's like that one that looks like it turns into a padlock or something, stuff like that. I'm like, what are these cool things, man?
So I'll wait for the episode to tell you that that's Microman then.
It's all one umbrella. So is this going to be the episode of me just going, is this Diaclone? And you like pulling your hair out?
He's going to be insufferable. Honestly, he's going to be absolutely insufferable. And he knows he is.
I can't even deny it. No,
he knows he is. He knows he is. But fair enough, it is his specialist subject. But so are you more interested then in the stuff that was Diaclone and Microchange that wasn't Transformers?
Yeah, just pre-Transformers more than anything.
Right.
Because I know enough about, I know some things about it, enough to get by, should I say, but there's so much more to it, because some of the stuff you come out with, M.A.S., and yourself, Sixo, it's really interesting, the stuff I don't know, so I was fascinated.
Good answers.
Cool. Thank you for the question, Stuart.
Yeah.
Really good. Right, so that's our Patreon, so do check that out. And also, final shout out to our sponsor as well, tfsource.com. Do check them out for all your Transformers and third-party needs. And the final shout out ever for gear for geeks.co.uk, having a clearing out sale. So do go and check them out as well.
And if you'd like to buy your own tote bags or official Triple Takeover merchandise, you can go to redbubble.com/people/Triple Takeover/explore. And if you'd like to interact with us more, you can check out our social media feeds by going to Facebook at Triple Takeover, all one word, or Instagram and Twitter where we are at Triple_Takeover. The underscore is very important. Lads, where can people find you?
I am at TFsquareone on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
I'm at Sixo TF on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
And I'm Toybox Soapbox, anywhere there's an at. With that, we've reached the end, and it's time for us all to down this shift. At some point we will definitely return to Energon, but for now it's time to sail away, sail away, sail away. Sail away, sail away, sail away.
Sail away, sail away, sail away.
Oh, you're happy with your Enya reference that you squeezed into the end of that?